Wade Stephen Wilson was born on May 20, 1994, in Florida. To most who met him in his early years, he seemed ordinary, just another face in a crowd. But by his teenage years, something had begun to fracture beneath the surface. As the years passed, Wade's record of violence and lawlessness steadily grew, like a storm building quietly on the horizon. In 2013, at the age of 19, he was arrested for burglary and grand theft. In 2017, he added firearm theft to his list, and by 2019, he had already been in and out of jail multiple times for battery, resisting arrest, and theft. But what no one could have predicted was what he would do in October 2019, a day that would leave 2 women dead and a state in shock. On the morning of October 7, 2019, 35-year-old Christine Melton went out for drinks at a local live music bar in Cape Coral, Florida. She met Wade Wilson there. They flirted, talked, and eventually left together. Hours later, Christine was found dead in her bed, strangled. Her killer had stolen her car and vanished. But Wilson wasn't done. Later that same day, he spotted 43-year-old Diane Ruiz walking alone near a construction site. Witnesses reported seeing a black Kia pull up next to her and Diane getting inside the vehicle. She was never seen alive again. Wade drove her to an isolated area where he violently beat and strangled her, then ran over her body repeatedly with Christine's stolen car, leaving it mangled and unrecognizable. There was no mercy. No hesitation, just rage. Within 24 hours, Wilson made a chilling phone call to his father. Calmly, almost casually, he confessed, "I killed 2 people. I did it for the sake of killing, and I'd do it again." His father immediately contacted the police. Wade Wilson was arrested the very next day. Wilson's rap sheet was extensive, even before the murders. Dozens of prior charges filled his record: burglary, assault, armed robbery, drug possession, domestic violence. He had multiple face tattoos, including a Nazi swastika and the words "White Pride" etched permanently into his skin. He had tried escaping from jail before. Once, he squeezed out of a patrol car and ran for 2 blocks before being tackled. Even in custody, he was combative and erratic. He threatened guards, fought with inmates, and displayed clear signs of instability. But the system kept releasing him. Short jail stints, probation, minimal supervision. Many began to wonder, could these 2 murders have been prevented? At trial, Wilson's defense team argued that he wasn't fully responsible for his actions. A neurologist testified that Wade had suffered multiple head traumas during childhood, including one fall from a bicycle that left him unconscious for minutes. CT scans showed damage to his frontal lobe, the part of the brain responsible for impulse control, empathy, and judgment. They claimed that years of drug abuse had worsened his condition. Methamphetamine, Xanax, and heroin were all found in his system. They painted him not as a monster, but as a broken mind, shattered by trauma, addiction, and neglect. But the prosecution painted a very different picture. They described Wilson as a manipulative, calculating predator. They played audio from his phone call to his father, where he confessed proudly, almost gleefully.
He said, "I'm a killer."
They showed how he had wiped his phone clean, changed his clothes, and attempted to cover his tracks. This wasn't brain damage. This was intent. In June 2024, a jury found Wade Wilson guilty on all counts: 2 counts of first-degree murder, car theft, burglary, and assault. They deliberated for just under 3 hours before recommending the death penalty. Judge Nicholas Thompson called the murders heinous, atrocious, and cruel. He stated that Diane Ruiz's murder, in particular, showed a cold, calculated, and premeditated level of brutality rarely seen. On August 27, 2024, Wade Wilson was formally sentenced to death, one for each victim. He received additional prison time for the other crimes, but he will spend the remainder of his life on death row.
This court's review of other reported capital cases has led the court to conclude that the death penalty is not disproportionate in this case.
The public response was immediate and intense. Some were relieved that justice had been served. Others were shocked to discover that Wade had received fan mail in prison, even love letters. One online group dubbed him the real Deadpool, a reference to his name. This deeply disturbed the families of the victims. "He's not a character," Christine's sister said. "He's a murderer. He took my sister away, and people are making memes about him." Prosecutors condemned the online attention. They reminded the public that this man strangled 2 women in one day, not out of desperation or passion, but out of desire. He wanted to kill, the prosecutor said, and he would have done it again if we hadn't caught him. Wade Wilson currently resides at Union Correctional Institution in Florida, awaiting his appeals process. His lawyers continue to argue that his brain trauma and mental illness warrant reconsideration. Meanwhile, the families of Christine and Diane continue to grieve and fight to ensure that their stories are not forgotten. 2 women, 1 day, stolen car, a confession. Wade Wilson left a trail of devastation that no sentence can undo. He called himself a killer. He claimed he had no remorse. And now, the system that once released him over and over will never release him again. This is the Dark Enigma. If you're drawn to the stories that chill the soul and twist the truth, subscribe now and join us next time for another case you won't forget.